Hi, I'm Brian A. Boyson, Peak Performance Sales Strategist and Coach at SAP. And thanks for tuning in to the Millennial Sales Life, Episode 7, titled, Are You Being Effective? Being effective in sales is very important, right? If you don't manage your time and you don't execute, you don't produce, you're really not in the job that long. So I really need to work on this. The people I coach work on this all the time, and part of getting better is to really have a good personal development strategy built into what you do, right? When I started to achieve peak performance in 2013 and really dug into that, I spent in the last 4 years probably over $50,000 in personal development through events, books, audiobooks, seminars, anything that I could do to take things in. And today we're going to talk about how to be effective. And for that, it's a book that I read, titled The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? I'm going to use some notes today, so I hope that's okay. It was written by Stephen R. Covey, all right, one of the great authors out there in personal development. And it's really about the research over time that was done and everyone that's come before us and put together and boiled down to 7 habits, okay? I'm going to talk to you about those today. And I'm talking about how I applied them, and hopefully you can take some information and apply those yourself and be more effective in your business and your life and everything that you're doing, right? All right, so I got notes here, so I hope that's okay. So the first highly effective habit is be proactive, all right? Be proactive. A lot of us, most of the world, are reactive, right? And I was for a long time. It's easy to be reactive, right? Let things happen to you, and then if it gets too much, then you react. And I was probably the worst procrastinator on the planet, and sometimes still am, depending on what I'm doing and where the motivation is. But it got so bad for me early in my sales career. In my first year, I had a sales director basically telling me to QBR that I talked a big game, said all the right things, but the one thing I didn't do was I just didn't execute. He said that in front of all my colleagues and everybody, and he was right. When I had some time to reflect on that, I just wasn't executing and producing. I wasn't being effective, and I wasn't being proactive to do anything about it. So I took that to heart, and that was a great learning experience for me. I've still been close with that sales director, and I've been able to change that all around. Right. So be proactive. The second one is begin with the end in mind. All right. When I first got to SAP, I had experience in hardware sales, and I was very tactical. I struggled my first 9 months. I had a great VP, and she pulled me aside and gave me some tough love and said, "Hey, Brian, you're way too tactical." So begin with the end in mind is take a step back and be strategic, right? I was putting one foot in front of the other and not looking up to see where I was going, right? And that's okay in the beginning, but if you keep doing that, you can get really far off track. So take a step back, become more strategic, figure out what your outcome is, and begin with the end in mind. All right, that totally changed the game for me. Had this big opportunity. I got through it, and I was almost going to be pulled off of it, but once I learned to be more strategic, then I was able to motivate others and paint a clear picture for them and have some more success. Habit 3, put first things first. All right, put first things first. So we have so much we have to do every single day, right? And sometimes we don't want to do the big thing that we have to do, so we do all the little things, right? And that's not going to help you. So put first things first is to take those big things, break them down, and get those done, right? And then you can move on and tackle the other items. But you really got to put a priority on the big things that are important, whether it's a proposal deadline or things that your VP asked you for a certain date, or follow-up items that you agreed to do. Do those things, and other things that are less important or not as committed or as time sensitive, do those when you can get to those, right? So put first things first. Habit 4 is think win-win, okay? Think win-win. This was a big one for me, and I adopted that, and I kind of changed it around a little bit, and I created one team, one dream, right? And I circulated that with my team, and that became how we operated. One team, one dream. I had a little baby picture with a fist, and it said one team, one dream on it. So I really brought people into that and fostered that environment that in order for us to all win, we need everybody and we need the best from everybody, because this is a tough job and nobody does it alone. So I really, if you're gonna go out there and be effective, you got to think about the people you're working with. You got to think about how they're compensated, what motivates them, and you got to bring them into the fold. And you really have to be operating with one team, one dream. Okay. So next habit is seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is kind of laughable because salespeople, we talk a lot, right? So you really need to fine-tune this skill, and you really have to listen, right? Listen more than you talk and practice it, and you get better at it over time. I listened a lot early in my career because I didn't know what I was talking about, right? So I was a good listener. But I had this one big meeting where we were trying to change the game with a dormant net new account, and we got in there, we had all the big people from our side, and we came in there pushing our agenda, and we didn't really listen to them and what they wanted, and they stopped us 5 minutes in the meeting and kind of attacked us, and we really didn't know what to do, and we had to keep going with a 3-hour meeting, and it wasn't great. But I heard everything that the executive had said, and afterwards I went up to him personally and said, hey, look, I'm sorry for what's happened in the past. I'm the new account executive. I take full responsibility for how SAP showed up. I heard you, and we're going to start putting a plan together and address it. And he shook my hand and he looked at me like, yeah, okay, that's what the last guy said. But I did it and went along the way and built a great relationship, and we one team, one dream did, and had a great deal and business and partnership with that account. Next habit, synergize. All right, there's more than one way to get somewhere. There's more than one play to look at something. You're really going to need it in a dormant net new patch that you're in when you're first starting out. And so look at all the options. There's not one path to success. You're going to find a lot of barriers, a lot of obstacles, and you really need to synergize your options with others, yourself, and different ways to get to where you want to go. It's going to be tough. It's going to be an uphill battle. It's going to be landmines everywhere, but you can get there. And the last one, probably the most important one that lies underneath all the highly effective habits, is sharpen the saw. All right, sharpen the saw. You can't just show up and do a little bit of work and then expect to be great. You got to show up every single day, put the work in, sharpen the saw, continue to develop, continue to grow, continue to put yourself in uncomfortable positions if you really want to be effective. All right, so I did that through continuing my investment in personal development. I did that through seeking feedback for people that manage me, people I worked with, customers I worked with, to hear from them. What could I do better with deals I lost? I said, hey, thank you for giving me the opportunity to work with you. What are some of the things that I could do better to maybe set ourselves up for a different result in the future? So that really helped me develop, and you always want to continue sharpening the saw, okay? So that's it, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Great book. You can start applying those and start thinking about those, and hopefully those will make you more effective, and you can execute in the game sales. So thanks for tuning in. I'll leave you with what I always leave you with. Rise up every day of your life. Set a new standard, make you move, and become who you are.